When the police chief in your city doesn't understand basic concepts and phrases like, oh, I don't know, chain of command, you don't have to dig too deep into the crime statistics. You don't have to worry about that stuff or to figure out what's going on in your city. You've got a major problem. I didn't want to start talking about the D.C. takeover, as they're all calling it again, but this is unbelievable, the reaction from the D.C. officials. Now, the mayor there is being okay. She's like, okay, whatever. Help me out. I'll take credit for it, but you have the feds come in and clean up my city, which is a cesspool, confirmed. But the police chief there? Wow. Holy crap. You've got a problem when you've got somebody this dumb in charge of things. We'll talk about that as well as the cover-up. Crime's not bad. It's not bad. Never trust people who all of a sudden start saying that things are completely safe when they never talked about it before, except when their city gets exposed. We'll talk about that as well. It's not going to be all politicians, though. I promise you. We've also got the most ungrateful plane passenger of all time. But you know what's different about this one? Pilots and flight attendants are calling out unruly passengers now. I'm here for it. I like it. Maybe that's the only thing that's going to stop it. I don't know. Who the heck knows? I know it's midweek, and I know you're here, and I'm here. Let's get to it. Let's start laughing about this nonsense and figure out what we can do about it. And make fun of it. That's what Wicked Radio is all about. Thanks for finding the live stream. And if you're watching or listening later on the replay, do me a favor. Press follow and notifications on. More of you are doing that, and I appreciate it. And the audio podcast listeners, if you press download, you know when the new episodes are coming out. So let's get to it. All right, this was amazing. Like I said, I didn't come into this with any plans. I kind of wanted to get away from all the controversy. Oh, the authoritarian takeover of Washington, D.C. Oh, sending in the military. Oh, my God. And all that nonsense, whatever. But they finally started talking about real residents in D.C. Finally, some news organizations started talking about people that are actually affected by it. Not media talking heads and not politicians who are sitting there telling you, it's fine. Everything's fine. Well, you can hear gunshots in the back. Yeah, because you know the real deal. If you've paid any attention whatsoever to any news story, you know exactly what's going on with the city streets. And they're playing with the crime numbers, and they're trying to tell you it's not so bad. All right, whatever. I wanted to get away from that because it was such a controversial thing. And a massive story, the rare massive story that stayed in the headlines and had legs all day long. And it'll continue because it's a big move. We haven't seen this too often in our country. But I had to come back. I had to come back into this one when I saw this clip. And I bet you saw it too because it did go viral, as the kids say. I didn't know too much about Washington, D.C. politics, except Mayor Muriel Bowser, who so far is playing along. She's pretty cool about it. She's like, okay, whatever, we'll take over. She's handling the press conferences, and she's, without going too far as, blasting her own city officials and the cops, and she's trying to say, okay, we'll cooperate. She's being okay with this. But then they brought out, really on a national stage for the first time, the Washington, D.C. police chief. And I want to say that again, the police chief, for a little press conference, until they finally had to kind of like push her off to the side, literally, when she came out with something this stupid. So it's a little media scrum out there in the streets because you got to try to show the community that things are safe. You can still come to Washington, D.C. It's okay. It's working out. Here's the police chief when asked a very simple question, and this took a completely different turn. Now the reporter just goes, okay, well, with the federal takeover, as you're calling it, and you've got the National Guard in the street, and the Park Service is going to get some now additional help from the feds. So who's in charge, really? Is it you as the police chief? What's the chain of command here? Oh, and that's when the wheels fell off. He threw a big phrase at her. You want to talk about incompetent? This is when you know you have a problem. Don't look at the crime statistics. Look at your police chief when she doesn't understand a basic concept.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear.
Look at it. You can even look at it. She got a phase in the background. when she doesn't understand what's going on. What is that? I'm going to fade out here. What is the chain of command? What does that mean? Oh, boy. If I heard that as a D.C. resident, I would get the hell out of there pronto. Chain of command. It's one of those phrases that's in the description. Chain of command. In other words, who's in charge of you? Who's in charge of them? Who's in charge of them? What's the chain of command here? What's that mean? Okay, there's your problem. That's when you know you got a problem. I don't need to read too far into the crime statistics to know that your city is lost. We talk about this crisis of incompetence throughout the country. There's your example right there. Oh boy. But anyway, at least the mayor is kind of like playing along. She's being a good mayor so far with that, I think anyway, but who knows. All right. Like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on the DC takeover. Oh, and the marches and have you noticed one thing though? This is amazing. So all the media talking heads were out there as well. And a lot of them live in Washington, D.C. if they're political reporters and, they go to their network studios that live in D.C. And they all felt the need yesterday to come out and say that the city I live in, I'm not concerned. I don't have these concerns. I've never felt safer in Washington, D.C. I'm fine. There's no crime on the street. Like this guy. Let's go to Jimmy Neutron here on MSNBC telling you that there's no problem. There are bigger concerns. There's no problem.
I think it's really important to be clear about what is going on here. And a relatively small crime problem is being used for specific authoritarian purposes that we know and understand. So let's be clear about D.C. does have one really big crime problem, which was the January 6th insurrection incited by the current president of the United States. And his first act in coming back was pardoning all the people who tried to overturn constitutional republic order in Washington, D.C.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy Neutron. It's not the shootings and the stabbings and the muggings and the carjackings down the street. No. It was January 6th. That was the problem. We lost our argument, so let's bring it back to that again, January 6th. And you didn't see this or hear this in the clip, but you know what else he went on to say? Unbelievably, Jimmy Neutron with the hair goes on to say, I'm more concerned about a lack of policy for climate change than I am in D.C. It's totally safe. You can't. That may infuriate you, but hopefully you can laugh at it because here's what it means. They lost the argument. That no one believes them anymore. It was all day long. I know you saw this. It was all day long. It was all the media talking heads. Even worse than the D.C. politicians. Even worse than the national stage, the congressional Democrats coming out and telling you that it was okay. It was the talking heads in mainstream media who live in Washington, D.C. went out of their way to tell you how safe it is. Completely fine. Totally fine. Right. Like I'm sure he's walking past 10 a.m. down dangerous streets in Washington, D.C. I'm sure that's really happening, right? I'm sure. No, it couldn't be the case that he gets out of his, paid for by the network limo, walks to the sidewalk, walk into the studio, and then when he's done with his on-air shift, gets out, gets back into the same car, and goes right back to his D.C. condo. And these are the kind of people that are telling you it's safe. They never talk to the actual residents, people who are in poorer communities in any of these cities who actually have to deal with this crap. No, it's the talking heads telling you, no, I'm more concerned about climate change than getting carjacked. And tell that to a working poor person, how concerned they are about January 6th or climate change. No, they're worried about making a paycheck to pay their bills and not getting carjacked on the way to going to their 9-to-5 job. That's what real people are worried about. This is why, even though it's infuriating for these talking heads to get on there all day long and to tell you, no, there's no crime problem in this city. There's no problem at all. Even though they're telling you that, no one is buying it. That's why they're trying to sell it so hard. Because, really, are you going to trust the people that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, are telling you how safe things are when the administration in the White House dares to clean up crime? All of a sudden, that's a problem. I'm telling you, it's the oldest example in the book. It's a lazy go-to. I know, everybody uses this. But I swear to God, it's true. Because they hate Trump so much and they hate this administration. Like, literally, if they had a cure for cancer and it came from them and they funded it and they discovered it and there was a ceremony in the White House lawn, they would protest it. The honest to God, they would. Trump attacking cancer. Really? Is this what we should go after? Wasn't it really about January 6th? Shouldn't we worry about climate change instead of cancer? Or they'd say, or you'd see an article in the New York Times, the benefits of having cancer and recovering from it, as opposed to what the Trump administration did. I don't know what's a lazy argument. It really is, and everybody does it. But the reason why we all go to it is it's absolutely true. If they found a cure for cancer, you would have these same talking heads on MSNBC and all the other networks protesting it. Just a fact. They absolutely would. But it's good. It's okay. It means they're losing the argument because no one is buying their crap anymore. If you have one brain cell working and two working eyeballs, and you know what's going on, and you've been in any major big city at all, or you're just watching the actual reports from what's going on in these cities, crime is out of control, and you know that, despite what Jimmy Neutron tells you there on TV. No, it's fine. I'm more concerned about climate change. Okay, right. Good. You stay concerned. Sure, pal. Right. I'm sure it really affects you. You're the demographic. All right. I didn't want to talk about politics or politicians this much, but I got to talk about this one as well. I have a question for you. And if you have an idea why this is happening so much, please inform me in the comments or whatever you want to do. Who was it that told a lot of the Democrats specifically, well, it's a good idea to swear so much? Just like how did this is my working theory, because they all do it now a lot. My working theory is some consultant somewhere, they have these political consultants and they tell them what to do and they tell them how to act and what the talking points should be, and that's why they all say the same thing in the same order all the time. You know the game. But there's some strategist, some political operative that got all of the hopeful politicians from the Democratic side in a room at once, and they all said, you know what you got to do? You know what you got to do? You got to talk tough, and you got to swear more. So this is why this comes across as so inauthentic. Specifically, and they're all doing it, but specifically, nobody's swearing more than Beto O'Rourke, and he's doing it incessantly, night after night, appearance after appearance. Now, he's all worked up about the redistricting thing in Texas, but every time he gets in front of a microphone or on a stage, the guy swears. Here's Beto now.
We're not going to let him stop us. Are you with me on that? Ándale. It also means, as Mark was saying earlier, we don't await the punch thrown by these would-be fascists to land. We punch first, and we punch harder. We want California and New Jersey and Illinois and Maryland and every other state where the Democrats hold the governor's mansion, the assembly, and the state senate to redraw their congressional districts now, not wait for Texas to move first, to maximize Democratic Party advantage. Listen, you may say to yourself, well, those aren't the rules. There are no refs in this game. Fuck the rules. We are going to win whatever.
Hey, Beto, hold on here. This is a family program. What are you doing? But it's true. Sorry about the F-bomb. But he said it, not me. All the time. And it's so inauthentic. First of all, in two reasons. Because you know that it's all planned and it's all staged. And he only, here's another takeaway. He only swears when, like, the crowd's getting into it and he's all excited. And somebody like him, he's always waving his arms. Like, it looks like one of those inflatable things outside of a used car dealership. It's so inauthentic. And here's the other reason why. He didn't come up with it. Because they're all doing it now all of a sudden. And whenever they start saying the same thing and doing the same thing, he's talking about the same talking points and the same actions all at once, some consultant somewhere came up with it, so it all comes across as phony. Besides the fact that, let's admit it, when you got a really wimpy kind of dude like Beto O'Rourke saying it, it doesn't work. Now, to be fair, let's be adults in the room here. If you don't like this kind of thing, I'm sorry. It's out of the bottle and it's not coming back. Politicians running for anything going on a stage, they swear now, and they swear a lot. You may not like this. This is the God's honest truth, because it's not going back. It's here forever. You know who started this? Trump did. He did. He started swearing on stage. There was a couple of, he says BS a lot of times. He has in the fact, I've seen it in person. He's dropped a couple of F-bombs on stage. It's happened. So the Democrats got a hold of that, and some Democratic consultant, he said, yeah, that's what you got to do. Yeah, you got to swear more. They got to show you how tough you are. Do that, Beto, even though you're about 95 pounds and you couldn't bench press a feather. But, you swear more and come across as the tough guy. Show them how tough you are. Yeah. Here's the difference. It works for Trump because he happens to be a billionaire that sounds like he's right off the streets, because he wasn't. He's dealt with Teamsters and construction bosses in Manhattan as a builder. He actually has the credibility. And when he swears, it sounds authentic. Beto does it? Not so much. Doesn't really seem as authentic. But if you don't like this, we got to look in the mirror. It's the way it is. It's just, it's not going back it's not going back now. You're not going to have some sort of a public decency push now for politicians running for office. And if you don't like that and you happen to vote for Trump, he did it. It's just true. But a lot of us liked that. They liked it because they saw that he was speaking like one of us, right? As you've had a conversation with your friends. Here's the problem. They're going to start doing it too. So it is what it is. But tell the difference. Look for the authenticity in who's actually using F-bombs on stage and who's not. Easy to tell once you find out where it's coming from. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with this because I'm tired of talking about politicians. I want to talk about, once again, every couple of weeks we have an amazing airline story. Don't know why. It's the industry. We all know as consumers we get treated like crap. You get crammed onto a plane. They're charging you through the wazoo. They cancel flights left and right. We've all been through it, right? And I think that's a big reason why you see and hear about a lot of fights on planes, arguments, people getting tossed on planes. The guy who was vaping in the bathroom, we had that story last week for you. It seems as though the airline employees are pushing back a little bit, though. This is amazing. I don't have any video for you. It's only audio, but it's proof. This is an Air France flight that had to make an emergency landing. And here's what they had to do. They had to emergency land because they were saving a lady's life. She had some kind of medical emergency, and she had to, get some emergency help. The pilot asked for help. You know, when they always say, it's like the old thing in movies, is there a doctor on board? Well, they helped her, and they had to head for an airport in Newfoundland, Canada, okay? Now, the audio you're going to hear here is coming from passengers who recorded the thing, because there's not much video other than reaction here. So you'll hear the pilot, first of all, calling for medical help, and then you'll hear the update at the end where they say, good news is we've saved her life. It's all okay. Unfortunately, we're going to have to land in Newfoundland. The passenger, the same one whose life they saved in a medical emergency situation, decides to flip off the crew when they're departing. We saved your life, and you give us the middle finger. Talk about swearing. Talk about ungrateful. But here's the cool thing. They called her out on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. One of our passengers needs some medical care. We asked for a doctor. Nobody was on board. So we are now diverting to St. John in Newfoundland, Canada. We will have to offload this passenger to the hospital.
That's part one.
This is your captain speaking. You'll be happy to learn that our passenger, which we saved her life, and she was a bit angry to be offloaded with the aircraft. And she gave us the finger when leaving the aircraft.
She's on a stretcher and has enough strength to flip them the bird when they're getting off. Oh, my God. But again, here's the cool thing, and I am here for it. If you have flight attendants and pilots and, I don't know, gate agent personnel, whoever, who is ready to call out unruly passengers, I'm all for it. Absolutely. Because you know what? As a fellow passenger, I can do it too. God. Talk about ungrateful. Well, I guess she really didn't get on, wanted to be in Newfoundland, Canada, huh? We saved her life, and then she decided to flip us the bird on the way out of the plane. Good. Good for you, pilot, and calling her out. All right, I'm out of here. I'm out of material. Go have yourself a Wednesday, a wicked awesome Wednesday, and I will catch up with you tomorrow. But in the meantime, if you're watching or listening later on the replay, follow, likes, notifications, all that crap. You know how it works. Social media stuff and all the platforms. The overall platform is Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams. That's where you find the live stream and more every single day. And you audio listeners, press download or subscribe or whatever you have to do on your favorite platform so you know when new episodes are coming out. Every single day live, though. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern time right here. With all that said, who the heck knows what's going to be in the news tomorrow? But we're going to have fun with it. See you later. Have a wicked awesome Wednesday.